Bam! What's going on, guys? How you doing? Mike Alvarez back at it again. Anyway, guys, this installment of the videos, this one might be a little long. Um, it's regarding all the courses out there that all these different executive protection schools and security schools or academies are providing. Are seriously lacking, man. Seriously lacking. With that being said, don't stop getting training, guys. But you need to know what to take away from these courses. All right. So anyway, what do you take away from these courses? You know, the basic stuff, the things that you are actually gonna need. You may or may not work in a 4-man detail or a 6-man detail. You may be out there doing the wedge or the box or the diamond formation and all these other things, but that is literally 1% of the whole industry. Unless you're working for a government agency or something like that, I don't see that happening. I've been doing this, like I said, for 20 plus years, and I think I've been in a handful of details that actually required everybody to be in suits, everybody to be in formation, all this other crap that usually is not normal within the industry. So what is normal in the industry, guys? Let's talk a little bit about that. What is normal? Most of the time, we're going to be doing a single man or solo operator detail. There might or may, you might get lucky. You might have a secondary guy who also doubles as a driver, or you may have a big family like the one that I recently did, which is mom, dad, and about 3 kids. I'm not going to mention who I did. That's nobody's business. That's another thing we're going to be talking about here. We're going to be talking about discretion, guys. YouTube is not a platform. Any social media platform are not platforms to be out here, trying to steal the limelight away from your client. All right, so you're not going to get any more famous. Anybody in the industry, including your clients, are going to look at you like you're a dumbass. So stop doing that. Stop being a dickhead. Be professional. Let people talk about you. Let word of mouth be your advertisement. That's how I've been getting around for 20 plus years. Word of mouth, man. Word of mouth. But anyway, I digress. We're going to talk about what we were originally talking about, which is, the takeaways from all these executive protection courses out there. All right. You're probably going to go to one of these huge courses where you're going to learn how to walk around in formations. You're going to be doing a lot of tactical shooting and all that stuff. And that's great, guys, but it's not the reality. The reality is that, like I said, you might get lucky and be working with a secondary guy, which you probably have never worked with before. You're going to have 5 or 6 drivers that have no idea what to do in any sort of situation. They just know how to drive, and they don't even know how to drive in an executive protection type of environment. So there's a lot of stuff that you need to consider. So what are the things that actually work, right? So you have advanced that you have to do as a single operator. You have to do your own advanced work. You have to do your own planning. You have to do all your pace planning, your contingency plannings, and all that stuff on your own, and hope for the best. All right, literally, you hope for the best. There's no such thing as this great communication. Some clients don't even like you walking around with these little mics around. They want everybody to be discreet as possible, which kind of hinders the ability to communicate with the rest of your team if you're in a team environment. Like I said, I was in this detail where it was mom, dad, 3 kids. The dad had his own security that came from their country with them. So he was pretty much doing whatever he was doing. He didn't need anything from us. Had his own driver. Mom, on the other hand, had the other guy that was with me was pacing her, and I took care of the kids. 3 kids by myself. Trust me. Sometimes it's good to be a dad, okay? So I have my own kids, guys, for those of you guys that don't know. So I actually enjoy working with kids and doing what we do. I think it's the highest honor to be able to protect, somebody else's kids, the same way you would protect your own kids. So, we had 5 drivers, about 5 or 6 drivers. None of them had prior security experience. They were all contracted drivers. They were limo drivers, right? These guys have 0 security experience. Two of them had firearms in their vehicles, which I had no problems with. After, of course, I did my own little digging on them and saw that they were legit. They had their own licenses and all that stuff. Make sure that they were clean. I made sure that they weren't bought out by anybody else. With that being said, you're never 100% sure of what's going on, in the back of the house. So we have to be extremely careful with everybody. I don't trust anybody. All right. So anyway, going back to the thing, you're not here working on a diamond formation or a wedge formation or a box formation or whatever formation people decide to fucking make up nowadays. All the tactical shooting and all that stuff, hopefully that shit never happens. If that ever happens, then you've lost the initiative and you've really dropped the push. You screwed up big time. All right. So, guys, when you're going into these courses, take everything that you're being taught with a grain of salt. All right. Like I said, 100% of the time, you're more than likely going to be working by yourself. And you need to learn how to work around these environments. It's an ever-changing environment. The client has an itinerary, and sometimes that itinerary might change. All right, like that. All right, so it might just change. No matter how much planning you put into it and all that stuff. Now you're running, with the client from point A, from the hotel or from the house that they get or whatever the case may be, to point B, which may be a restaurant that they just like cooked up on their own and said, hey, look, we're going to this place. I don't want to go to the other place anymore. So now you gotta you do your own. I call it a snapshot advance. All right, where you're actually gonna go into your phone. You're gonna Google the location of this place. You're gonna use street maps, and you're gonna look out for everything. You're gonna read comments. You're gonna do everything. Your own little, your own little research, a little reconnaissance of the area. If you're familiar with the environment, then you already know, okay, if this is it in a good spot, is it in a semi-good spot, is it in a non-permissive environment, you know what I'm saying? All these things you have to think about. Again, you could suggest to the client that it's in a bad neighborhood, you don't want to go there, sir, blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, ultimately the client's the one that decides whether if they want to go or not. All right. So now it's your ass. You know what I'm saying? You gotta pucker up. All right. So this is the thing. People need to understand, right, that what people are selling out there is definitely not what you're gonna be doing in the real world executive protection detail. All right. The best thing that you can do, which is what I'm doing right now, all right, is send other guys out to handle all of that stuff, and your ass stays at the residence doing residential security. All right. All the other stuff is not as glamorous as everybody think. It's really not, guys. So I've got my tablet here, right? And I put down some stuff that we're gonna talk about, right? Hang on, let me do this real quick. Where is it? We're gonna talk about all these little things here. And we're gonna have a series, guys. We're gonna have a series of these videos. We're gonna be talking about different things over time. Oh shit. Wrong. This is wrong. We're going to be talking about different things. That way, you guys get the real, the real deal. All right, I'm tired of all these people that claim that they're doing something good for the industry, and they're just selling smoke and charging people $500, $800, $2,000 for a course, which, in my opinion, it's not worth it. Did I do this right? I think I did not do this right. Anyway, so come on. Sorry, guys, this is kind of impromptu. I just want to make sure that you guys get everything the best way possible. All right, I've made some little talking points here that we're going to be talking about. Because I feel like these are things that need to be said, and people are not being honest with you guys, man. All right, so there's a lot of people out here that claim that they want to educate guys in the security industry. They want to promote all this education. Go take a jiu-jitsu class, do this, do that, which is all good, guys, by the way. It's all awesome, but you need to understand, when you are out in the street, you don't have a mat. This is not an actual jiu-jitsu school. You're not in a tatami. You're gonna hit the pavement really fucking hard. All right. So there's reasons why it's good to know. Put that in a bucket. It's good to know things. All right. But you never want to end up in this situation. All right. So today we're gonna be demystifying some of the garbage sold to you in executive protection details or in the security industry, period. All right, so this is the thing, all right, because there is no one thing I want you to understand. If there's one thing I want you to understand before you spend any money in one of these courses, is that, executive protection in the real world doesn't always look like what you see in photographs on Instagram or YouTube on videos and stuff like that. All right, so they show people, like I said earlier, one of the talking points here, they show people with 4, 5, 6 operators doing a perfect diamond formation or wedge formation, one making advances. You don't have that luxury out here in the real world. I personally get hired by other companies to do their advanced work all the fucking time, and I give them packages, so that they know where they're going, especially if these other agencies are from other states. All right, I provide support for them and stuff like that. Let's say, for example, I have a buddy of mine in New York that when he comes down with his clients and stuff like that. He's a law enforcement officer up there, retired law enforcement up there, and he used to do diplomatic security services up there in New York with NYPD. Now he has a pretty good business up there in New York, and he gives me a lot of work also. But anyway, when he comes down, he calls me up. He's like, hey, Mike, you know Miami, you know Orlando, you know this, you know Florida. I need you to do a mission plan, and I need you to do an advance and give me that package so I know what I'm getting myself into. All right. Things change all the time, guys. Remember, threats evolve, bad guys evolve, and we should be doing the same thing. So, unfortunately, like I was saying, most of the time, we're going to be working details on our own. We're going to have little time to prepare, and more than likely, you're not going to have an advanced team giving you one of those mission packages. All right. So, another thing is, you may or may not be the driver and security. All right. You may or may not be the driver and security. There's a slight possibility you might have to do both. All right. There's a slight possibility you may be working with a secondary person that may or may not be security. Maybe they're just a driver. All right. So another thing is, you assume that there's going to be walkies involved all the time. You know, we're all going to have radios, we're going to have walkie-talkies, and everybody's going to wear earpieces, and there's going to be perfect communication. Bullshit. All right. Don't be a fucking dickhead. It's bullshit. All right. That doesn't happen. 99.9% of the time, you're going to be texting back and forth with whoever the liaison between you and the client is, or directly with the client. All right. Most of the time, there's somebody in between that generally gives you the heads up. Hey, look, so-and-so is coming out of the room now. We're heading to so-and-so place. All right. So you might not even know where the fuck you're going. So, perfect example. Another thing is, everybody assumes that everybody knowing executive protection is always armed. You may not be armed. It's a 50-50 game, guys. All right. I've had to travel a lot of times to different countries. There's non-permissive environments in the state that you're in. You might be going in and out of courtrooms. You might be going, and there's that transitional space. For example, let's say, for example, you're protecting a client that is going in and out of courtrooms, right? We've seen most of these cases out here. You know, some of these people are not worth protecting. But you're getting paid to do that. So, like Casey Anthony, for example, maybe walking out the courthouse with this person, right? You're not armed, all right? There's a transitional space between that courtroom and the vehicles, all right? Anything can happen between that transitional space, all right? We're going to be talking about transitional spaces on a different video. But you're not armed. You're not capable. You're not capable of you know, warding off if somebody had a gun. All right. It's really a screwed up situation. But anyway, some people might say, oh, I'm not gonna take a job like that, blah blah blah. It's up to you. You do what you do. All right. So the reality, guys, for most operators, civilian operators, executive protection, detail security officers out here, we're all civilians. For those of you that were military law enforcement, sorry guys, you're no longer military law enforcement. You law enforcement guys might have a little bit of a you know. Anyway, so guys, if you don't work for the government or work for a large agency that manage high level contracts, you will often work alone. All right. I've said this already multiple times in this video. And if you're lucky, you're going to have a partner. Advanced team. What is that? You won't have an advanced team. It often doesn't exist. There is no guy who arrived 3 days early to check into the hotel, you know, and get all the key cards and all that stuff. That's you. All right. You're going to be doing that probably like an hour before the client gets into town. And then running to the airport to go pick them up at the FOB, at the FBO. I'm sorry, and then it's a whole big thing. All right, so um, in the best of options, you're the one doing your own advance. You may be the driver or may not be the driver. Many times, you have a contracted driver who has no experience in security, doesn't know how to park or where to park. He parks wherever it's convenient for him, not necessarily something that is conveniently going to help you in your job to protect the client. Sometimes the threshold between the vehicle and the client are like so fucking far apart, it's not even funny. Um, uh, Here comes another reality, guys. You're going to be traveling, so not all the time, like I said earlier, you're going to be armed. You might not even have the chance to carry the things that you want to carry with you. You might have to pack light. You might not even have medical with you, so you have to improvise. All right, so depends on the jurisdiction that you're going to. All right, you may be going into hostile environments. All right, you might be going to a third world country for whatever reason. Been there, done that. The clients take you to these third world countries sometimes for whatever reason. The authorities there might not know that you're there, and it's sometimes preferable that they don't know that you're there, because if they know you're there, now you're on their radar, and bad things can happen. You don't want to end up in a prison somewhere in Haiti or Colombia or somewhere. All right, so the reality, guys, is that the client's not going to be like, oh, well, you can't bring your Glock, so let's go back home. That's the reality. All right, guys. So the work continues regardless, and that's where real executive protection begins. All right. Executive protection is not just knowing how to shoot, fight, or walk behind a VIP. All right. There's a lot of stuff. A lot of problem solving that you have to do. All right, planning, observation, reading the environment, logistics, driving, communication, risk management, contingencies, adaptability, and etc. Blah 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 blah. I could go on for days about this shit. All right, so the truly competent operator should be able to be completely naked. Right, you remove all their tools away from them, and they should still be able to protect their principal, all right, and protect themselves, all right. And like I said, we're going to be talking about non-permissive environments. We're going to be talking about escapology in a different video. Tools that you may or may not be able to have with you at the time when you go to one of these third world countries where you might get kidnapped. So, if your only solution, guys, is I have a gun and I have 6 other guys with me, then you're not as competent as you think you are. All right, you're not really an executive protection agent. You're not even a specialist. All right, you're not an expert. Definitely not an expert. So, the real test comes in when you're alone. No advanced team, no equipment, no tactical equipment, no perfect conditions, not being able to carry a gun. Obviously, we've talked about that. Not yet. And yet you still have to take your principal from point A to point B and, do your job as an actual executive protection agent. This is not a movie. Like I said before, not Instagram, not videos that you see on social media. This is the real fucking world. All right. Real world here. And before you pay for your next executive protection course or your next security course or your next jiu-jitsu or karate course or Kali or Esgrima or whatever the fuck you feel like fucking doing, you need to ask yourself a series of real questions. All right, is this course really preparing me for the job at hand? All right, is this really gonna prepare me for where I want to be a couple of months from now or a year from now? Because some people are new into the executive protection space, some people are new into the security space, period. But yeah, you need to ask yourself these questions. All right. Ask yourself constantly, and if what you're doing is actually helping you in the long run. Okay, is this realistic? Is it practical? I've seen a lot of stuff out there that is bullshit, and people don't realize that you and your client will end up dead really fucking quick if you're not on your P's and Q's. All right, there's a huge difference, big difference, guys, on these two things. Anyway, I wanted to make this video short, guys. I don't want to keep going about the same thing, but there will be other videos about this, so stay tuned. I will make sure to, keep you guys on point with all this stuff that we're doing. All right, be safe, guys.